We are coming to you live from Volvo Ocean Race headquarters in Alicante because Team Brunel, out on the water at leg 9 in this edition of the Volvo Ocean Race, are putting in a very impressive 24-hour run. At this stage, it is provisional, but it looks like not only have they improved on their own 24-hour run, the best so far in this edition, but they have even smashed Abu Dhabi's record in the Volvo Ocean 65 from the last edition. Right now, every single time I click on the numbers, the 24-hour run increases. So to get the latest, to find out what life is like on board, we have got Peter Burling downstairs sheltering from the wind and the waves as the rest of the crew are on deck. Peter, if you can hear me, we're seeing the numbers ticking in. You guys are going like an absolute steam right now.
Yeah, we've got the boat going, just come down from being on watch, and it seems to be all going pretty well. Yeah, nice breeze, nice sea state, just reaching along with the J0. I think in the best hour we've probably had so far, we averaged a bit over 27 knots. So it's, yeah, boat's absolutely hauling. There's water going everywhere, as you can probably see, but it's nice and warm and pretty easy going actually on the helm. It's a nice boat to drive to.
Now, famously, you're somebody that takes fast sailing and high speeds in their stride, but did you feel like this could be a pretty good run here, guys, or have you got your mind simply on other things?
I think from the forecast it was pretty obvious that the speed run was going to be on the cards, and but we're just trying to get as big a lead as we can to try and win this leg, and it's obviously a pretty cool thing for Team Brunel and Bowie and everyone if we can have the Volvo 65 best 24-hour run, which we've held for most of this race from our efforts in leg 3. But no, it definitely seems like it's going to keep going up. We've still got pretty good breeze for the next kind of 5 or 6 hours. So, and we had some slower numbers at the beginning of the 24-hour period. So no, it should go up a bit more from here.
Well, let's just quickly talk about the numbers, because when we came on air, it was 556.72. We got excited when we saw it just peak over 550. Now when I look at it, it's 557.9. As you say, it keeps going up. Are you sort of chasing the maximum here?
No, we're just trying to get as far ahead of Axonoble, who's right behind us chasing us. And for ourselves, we're not too worried about, putting the bow down here and getting a bit further north. That's something we've spent a lot of time probably split from the fleet, and it's nice to kind of all be back together again with a pretty healthy little lead over Dongfeng. So we're just pushing as hard as we can here to try and make the most of the advantage we got from being a bit further east and south a few days ago.
Well, of course, a team effort, but we're seeing some guys up on deck at the moment getting absolutely hosed down. Who's up on watch at the moment sailing?
Yes, I think Louis is currently driving. I think Bowie's standing behind him, holding him on the wheel, making sure he doesn't get washed off. Just double check. And then, Albie's trimming the main and Carlo's grinding. So they're, watch chain was about 50 minutes ago when a couple of us come down, and just been trying to get a bit of water out of the inside of the boat. A fair bit of water down here, kind of coming down from every little hole it can find. But no, it's all worth it. About another day of this breeze before we're going to be becalmed. Kind of wishing we had a bit more. So it's good fun.
And what exactly is the ride like at the moment? Because we've heard the sailors talking about flatter than usual sea state, but the wind, the angle that you guys are sailing at, it looks perfect for speed.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice angle for speed. Occasionally the waves get a bit steep and you kind of get stuck at them a little bit, but every now and then you get these little runs where you can just sit at kind of high 20s for a period of time, which is pretty uncommon in these boats and in this race. So we're pretty happy to put some big miles on the board.
Well, I've just hit refresh here on the computer, and it's now telling me provisional. Again, I need to stress that one, of course. But provisionally, it's 558.34 nautical miles that you guys have just done in the last 24 hours. I mean, what does this mean to you, now being the boat on the water that is setting the pace for the rest of the field to try and follow?
Yeah, well, like Bowie said the whole time, that, for us this league, we kind of have a shot at winning it. We've got to beat the 2 red boats, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. And we want a shot at winning the race coming into the Hague. So it's something that we're pushing, as hard as we can right now to hopefully still have a bit of a lead when it all compresses in a day or so's time. And it's definitely going to get a lot trickier than it is tricky at the end of this leg with some really light wind. But no, we're just enjoying the breeze at the moment.
Well, Peter, as you say, it's going to be tricky a little way down the track, and I'm sure after a hard few watches of pushing the speed as high as you can, you're looking forward to your rest. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. I will let you get back into your bunk and resting up. We're going to stay with the boat at the moment, and on the water, on the boat, we have our OBR downstairs, and we're going to start flicking through some of the cameras as we get a little bit of an idea as to how the boat is sailing, how the boat is set up, and just how it is that Team Brunel are setting such a phenomenal pace. If you have just joined us, just a moment ago, we were hearing from crew member Pete Burling, down below, sheltering from the wind and the waves, as Team Brunel have continued to just nudge the number up for the record all-time Volvo Ocean 65 24-hour run. It was 550 plus a few little decimal places, but now it is up. Now, I'm going to hit refresh one more time on the computer because just a moment ago it was 558.34. But as Peter Burling was saying, the average speed's 27 knots that they're putting in. The numbers are going to keep going up. And the weather at the moment is looking pretty good. If you are able to use an internet connection, if you've got the website, go and take a look at it. It is live on the tracker right now. And as you scroll forward, you can see they've still got a good few hours left of some incredibly impressive breeze to go. But let's stay with the images right now and see if we can go full screen on the images and have a little bit of a look at exactly how they're sailing. If we could get me off the screen at the moment, because I want to see what the deck is like and how it is they're sailing. So as Peter was saying, we've got 4 crew members on the boat, and I think I can just hear the onboard reporter talking in my ear. Potentially, they're going to have to be taking a reef in. The crew positions, they're going to shake a reef out, and they're going to move through the cameras for us. So some action up on deck. We've got Louis Balkeen on the helm, with Bauer Becking was standing behind him. It looks like he's come forward. We know that Carlo Hoosman is somewhere on deck at the moment as well, but completely wrapped up against the wind and the waves. It's a little bit difficult to tell who it is. One thing's for sure, though, this boat is absolutely flying along. The latest speeds right now, just while I get the latest ping from the computer, still for a 24-hour run, right now, 558.63 nautical miles. The old record set by Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing in the last edition, just a shade over 550. So it looks to be that they've broken the record. It looks like they've broken it with fine form. Conrad Coleman on today's Daily Show was talking about this being a real possibility with the wind and the waves and the angle that they're sailing at. And it looks like it's come to fruition. But this is provisional. We're going to have to wait for it to be confirmed. But right now, Sam Greenfield cycling through the cameras as the onboard reporter down below, just moving his way through the fixed cameras as we see the crew shaking out a reef. Well, that can only mean one thing. The breeze, a little bit down, and they're prepared to get themselves back up to full power. So just when it looked like they were going absolutely hell for leather, they think there's a little bit more speed to get out of the boat. We've got a number of cameras on this boat. If you've been following the Volvo Ocean Race, you'll know that we have one at the stern looking forward, one at the hatch looking aft, and then 2 on the mast spreaders that we can move around, one at the very top looking down, and one at the bow. So we're going to try and move through, but as you can tell, as the boat is pounding along, the signal has to buffer its way. It goes through the satellite system at the back provided by Cobham, over the satellite network, and then down to us here in Volvo Ocean Race headquarters. And these are live images, a real treat right now, and a little bit of a look up from, potentially that was Abby Ealer just on the deck there, just looking up, double checking how the reef is coming out. And this process, more sail area going up. So the top of the main will be first dropped, releasing the pressure. Then the bottom of the main, the reefing points, will be unhooked and released. And then the main will go back up higher to where it was before. And the main gets a little bit bigger. So we've got one crew member by the mast, just making sure that everything is feeding up correctly. And all the lines are coming on and off at the right time. And then the powerhouse, you can just see at the top of the screen at the moment in the cockpit, on the pedestals, winding the main up. This process does knock a little bit of speed off the boat while it is going on, because realistically, you can't do this with the main fully loaded. So the mainsail right now, flapping, spilling the breeze, allowing them to take one reef out and get a little bit more power in the sail. Then they'll wind it back on and get themselves back up to full speed. And we might see their 24-hour run increase even more. By my eye, by watching the tracker, looking at the numbers coming in, 558.63 nautical miles in the last 24 hours. It's a rolling number, of course, and we will keep our eye on it. And we can hear on the deck some communication from the back to the front about how the reef is going. We've got the helm at the back. I mean, how good are you at telling what crew member it is wrapped up in yellow? But by my eye, on these images here, I wouldn't be surprised if that's Bauerbeking, the skipper, taking the wheel at the moment. And then we've got two in the bottom right-hand corner, just on the pedestals, ready to provide a little bit of power. And even with that main spilling power, ready to take the reef out, the boat does not look like it's going slow at all. I mean, Conrad Coleman on today's Daily Show was saying that these are the conditions that the 65 was built for, and you can absolutely see why. This angle to the wind with this much wind speed and a relatively flat sea means that the sailors are able to absolutely push for full power. So we're going to stay with these images if we can, as our Sam Greenfield, onboard reporter, just cycles through. That's the view now from the stern looking forward. And they look like they are completing their adjustment on the sail. Still unable at the moment to wind the sail back in. And this is going to cost them a little bit of time now, because all this time, the sail is not providing them the full power. They've got some sails at the front, up and pulling, but the main eased right now. And it looks like they might just be trying to adjust some of the reefing lines or some of the tack lines. Now they're on the pedestals. That could be the halyard now coming on, pulling the main up back to its full position. And then lastly, you're going to see that winch drum right in the middle of the shot, wind on the main sheet. Got one crew member forward on the bow, just holding the runner clear as the boom is eased. It looks like the luff of the main is getting a little bit tighter now. That should mean that the halyard is coming up. And if you've ever tried to reef a boat out at sea, whether it's a dinghy or whether it's a full-size keel boat, you'll know it's not an easy maneuver. Well, try and do that when it's blowing 30 knots plus and you're trying to chase the 24-hour record. But now, two hands on the pedestal in the middle. Still cannot see the main winch drum turning. That will signify that the main sheet is coming in. And a little bit of loose tension on the luff of the main next to the mast. We need to see that go tight. We need to see the halyard go up and take up the tension. And only then is it really safe to pull the main in and start to power up the boat. Still, Team Brunel, even in this powered down mode, absolutely rocketing forward. Their 24-hour record has notched up again, 558.82 nautical miles. When we came on air, it was 556.71, and they're adding miles all the way. Well, the luff of the main looks a little bit tighter now, and in fact, we've got some hands off the pedestals, so they're going to be able to start winding it in. Still one crew member at the mast, just tidying up the tack end of the main. And as we flick through the cameras again, and the sailors look like they're getting themselves back into a little bit more of a normal rhythm. Main coming in now on the main sheet. Still one reef in the main hanging below the boom. So it seems like they broke this 24-hour record with, well, certainly towards the end, 2 reefs in the main. Now they're going to 1. We could see their 24-hour run get even higher. It was 550 with Abu Dhabi Ocean Racing in the last edition. Now, currently, provisional at least, it stands at 558 with Team Brunel. But they're still looking for a little bit more power. Plenty of breeze, plenty of wind and waves, and how lucky we are to have an onboard reporter down below. We heard from Peter Burling just at the beginning of this video, and well, if you've been following us on the Volvo Ocean Race, you'll know that he's a man who seems to shrug off every big moment, but even he couldn't help but acknowledge that this was something pretty special for this team. In the early stages of this race, they've been struggling for pace, struggling to impose themselves on the rest of the field. But now, certainly in the last 3 legs, they really have been firing. Team Brunel, now out in the water as we're covering it live, they look like they have broken and smashed the Volvo Ocean 65 24-hour run. 558 nautical miles for Bauer Becking and his crew. An absolutely wonderful achievement. And right now they are currently in first place on leg 9. And remember, the overall scoreboard is going to look very special indeed for Dutch fans if Team Brunel can hold on to that position. Join us tomorrow. We've got a quick fix for you in the morning, and we will keep our eye on these amazing developments out on the water.